Welcome everyone to Dragon Quest FM, where we talk about and obsess over Dragon Quest. My name is Austin.
I'm BJ. Woo!
And today we've got a special guest with us today because we're hanging out with Sackchief.
Hey guys.
All right, so if you know anything about Dragon Quest fandom and you're listening to this podcast, you probably know who Sackchief is already. He has his very own YouTube channel where he has tons of YouTube videos. You can find that at youtube.com/Sackchief. One of my personal favorites is where he ranks all the Dragon Quest games, worst to best. That's a good one. He's also currently doing playthrough videos, let's play videos for 11S and Dragon Quest 3. And you can also find him on Twitter at Sackchief. And you also, you have a Discord channel as well. It's called Dragon Quest N. Is that right?
Yeah, that's one of the Discord channels I'm part of, yeah.
And there's also a Sackchief Discord that you have, isn't there?
Yes, that's my personal Discord for my channel. I have that as well.
All right, cool. So let's get straight into it. Just kind of curious here. So what got you into Dragon Quest in the first place?
Okay, so my first Dragon Quest game was Dragon Quest 8 on the PS2 back in 2005. So it's been a while. What got me into it was I subscribed to the American Shonen Jump magazine. Do you remember that at all?
No.
Yeah, in Japan they have these big volumes, the Jump volumes that have different comics that come in every month. And America had one also from the Shonen Jump company that had English comics, and it was kind of short lived. It's not around anymore. But I subscribed to their magazine, and one of their issues in 2005, I believe, had a Dragon Quest 8 demo disc packed in with it, and there was an interview of Yuji Horii in the magazine. So that was my first exposure to the series. In 2005, I actually hadn't heard of Dragon Quest before then, but I was really into the whole anime manga thing. I really enjoyed the whole all the Japanese comics and all that stuff. So when I saw Dragon Quest, this game that was stylized like that kind of manga, I was really into it at first, and I really enjoyed the demo. I can tell you more about that if you like.
Yeah, because that was one that I completely missed at the time. Like, I wasn't into anime at that point. I'd moved into college and was really playing mostly online games and hadn't really touched consoles and really watched any anime that my friend Bob didn't bring in. And so I didn't even know that there was a demo for 8. So what all did it consist of?
Okay, so the demo for 8, basically, it starts off, the intro cutscene where they're like looking for Medea and the slimes come and attack you. That part, they don't have that part actually. It opens right when you get to Fairbury, and you don't type in the name of the main character. The main character's name is 8. It's just 8 in the demo.
Okay.
Yeah. The demo keeps going, and it stops at a certain point, but it's mostly the entire intro section. You talk to the girl, you find out her problem, you can walk around the entire town. You have a lot of freedom. Some differences include the fact that the menu system that's all fancy in Dragon Quest 8, that's not there. They're using the original menu system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was in the demo, it was the original menu system, but in the final game they changed it for Western audiences to appreciate it a little more. But yeah, it's a pretty solid demo.
That's cool. I've seen like the demo for 8 like on eBay and stuff where people were selling it, and I wasn't sure what the demo came with. So I'm glad you explained that to us today, because I've always wondered if that was like do you remember, I don't know if you ever had this, but I subscribed to like the official PlayStation magazine, and they sent you a demo like every issue.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I didn't know if it maybe came with one of those and I just missed out on it.
Actually, they had a Dragon Quest 8 demo also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a King Kong issue. I know it's the King Kong issue. It has Peter Jackson's King Kong on the cover. That's the issue. That's the issue with the Dragon Quest 8 demo. Except there's a lot of other games on the demo disc for that, but Dragon Quest 8 is one of them. And the demo I told you about right now, that's the exact demo that they're using for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I remember the Peter Jackson King Kong or at least I remember an issue with that. So now I'm wondering. Now I kind of want to dig up my old demos if I still have them and see if Dragon Quest 8 was on there, because it was Dragon Quest 8. Was that on the cover of the demo?
It was not. In fact, you probably wouldn't know
Okay.
unless you actually like pop the demo disc in. I just know for a fact that that is the disc that has Dragon Quest 8 on the demo.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering, because I didn't remember the cover, and also I was around that time I was bad about if it wasn't like a game I was already familiar with or like was looking forward to. I didn't necessarily play whatever the demo disc was that came with that issue.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm kind of bummed out, because now I'm wondering if there's like a demo of 8 somewhere in my house, or that I even like tossed over the years. So yeah, man, that kind of sucks for me, I guess.
Yeah, for real. That may have gotten you into Dragon Quest a lot sooner than you currently did with 11.
15 years ago it could have been, right? That's when I could have started.
For real, it's 15 years of my life wasted now.
I mean, you married, kids, degrees, all of that wasted just because of no 8.
So talking about Dragon Quest 8, I know. I know for a lot of people, I feel like, especially around like our collective ages, I guess there's like a 10-year, I feel like, span of ages there, that like Dragon Quest 8 was kind of the first Dragon Quest game for a lot of people. And I know it's kind of a favorite for a lot of people. Is that your favorite Dragon Quest game?
My favorite Dragon Quest game actually is Dragon Quest 5.
5.
Yeah,
that's
the typical answer. 8, yeah, 8's a really great game though. It's one of my top 5 in the series.
Gotcha. And I think I remember you telling me on Twitter that 5 was your favorite, because 5 is probably I say it's my second favorite because I love 11 so much. But I usually kind of preface that with the fact that like 11 is almost like this like greatest hits album of like Dragon Quest, where it hits a lot of beats that are in older Dragon Quest games,
mm-hmm.
and does it really well. And so I don't know if it's fair to say 11 is like my favorite game, because I feel like it's almost like saying like your favorite album by like some band is their greatest hits album, instead of like picking one of the actual albums, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, I love 5 too. It's and have you seen the movie Your Story?
So it's really impossible to see the movie. There's maybe no talk about any sort of Blu-ray release yet. It was like a one-day theater event. Like, I haven't seen it yet. I do want to see it, but the opportunity has not shown itself to watch it yet.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure if any like bootleg copies had like surfaced online or not. I hadn't been that thorough in like searching, so
there haven't.
I figured you were the person to ask.
Yeah, there's no bootleg copies. Somebody would have had to take in a camera and videotape the whole thing. That never happened. They don't really do that in Japan, to be honest. That's kind of like not a thing they do.
And I didn't know it was a one-day thing. I thought it was it may have been a short theatrical release. I didn't realize it was a one-day event.
Yeah, it was like one weekend or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't in theaters for a long time. And it was like limited theaters had it and stuff.
Yeah, it's for their like they had like a big like fan celebration weekend, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So Dragon Quest 5 is your favorite game, but if we're playing like that game Desert Island, where you get like one Dragon Quest game, like your Desert Island, I guess, has electricity.
Okay.
In this fantasy, you have electricity, so you have any game system and a TV of your choosing. Yeah, do you still play 5, or do you take a different one?
I'd take 11 if that was the case, because 11's replayability is really, really high, I'd say.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. This is the most excited I think I've ever been to like replay a game after beating it not very long ago. Like, I know 11S has a lot of new content, but I've definitely been like really excited to play it, and really glad to be playing it now, even though like I beat it less than a year ago. Like, that has never happened with another video game.
I agree.
Same for me. Like, I don't like replaying games, and I don't like replaying parts of games that I've played. So when I quit just right at Nautica in 11 on Steam to wait on the Switch version, I was like 22 hours in, and I figured that I would just speed through all of 11 on the Switch. I would get there and skip all the cutscenes, and I haven't. I've only skipped maybe like 3 cutscenes that I remembered really well and cared zero about because I already knew them, and have had just a wonderful time replaying it, doing the exact same stuff I had done before, which is completely out of character for me to do.
And you're playing it on 3D, right, BJ?
Yeah, I tried 2D at this point, and I like 2D, but I know you and I were texting about this. I want to play 2D all the way through because switching back and forth really feels like it loses something, except for the ones that are obviously only in 2D. Like I didn't like having the swap. I think it's either a 16-bit RPG or a 3D beautiful RPG for me, so I want to do a complete 2D playthrough at some point.
That's kind of my plan too. I plan on doing 2D after I do this other 3D playthrough of 11S. And so, Sackchief, you're playing both though, right? I know your video that you posted a couple of days ago with like the Slayer and the Sands and all, um, 2D, but you're playing in 3D as well, or just 2D?
Yeah, at the end of the latest video, I did switch back to 3D. The thing about switching back and forth is it's not quite as on the fly as I hoped it would be.
Yeah.
You noticed that, right? It's you.
Yeah.
So when you switch back to 2D or 3D, you actually have to go back to a certain point where like the chapter starts. This game has a chapter select option that a lot of people don't talk about, and
Right.
yeah, it makes it more difficult. So I think for the rest of this playthrough, I'm actually going to be doing it in 3D mode. We did a lot of 2D, but it's not convenient to be switching back and forth. It's not really gonna work as much as I hoped it would be.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that too. I was really disappointed when I got the actual game because the demo, the way it kind of looked in the demo, is that you just went to a church and you switch back to 2D, and it wasn't like a huge deal. And then as immediately when I got the actual game, that was like the first thing I went to do, and it had that chapter select like that. And that is why I didn't go to 2D, because I was just like, it's been a little while since I've played this, and I really like a lot of the animations and just like the characters' faces and different things that go along with the 3D. So for this one, that's why I just kind of opted for 3D myself.
Yeah, I didn't want to go through all of the chapters in one or the other like that. I wanted to be able to swap. So with having to do the chapter selects, I just decided to do 3D the whole time for this one.
So we got favorite game out of the way. Do you have a like least favorite Dragon Quest game? One that maybe you don't like, or maybe you like but just isn't as good as the rest?
Probably 6. Yeah, I'd say 6.
6.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I love 6. I know I'm in the minority there. Is it the story, characters, all that kind of stuff that kind of gets you?
It's like it came right after Dragon Quest V. It has the syndrome of just not being DQ5. The story's not quite as good. I had high expectations for it. That's really all.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, and maybe that was why I liked 6 so well, is because I played it later and um, I'd heard like some people's complaints with it and the issues they had with it. So I kind of knew going in that it might not be my favorite. And I actually, didn't really enjoy the first 10 to 12 hours of the game and didn't think I was going to like it. And then ended up having a really great time with 6. And one thing I've noticed from listening to you on like the Geekdom 101 podcast and things like that is you like Dragon Quest 2.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I like Dragon Quest 2, and I feel like there's a lot of people who don't like 2.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad there's somebody, at least a couple of other people out there who really like 2 as well.
And I'm curious if that's your least favorite of all of them, and like you are mega super fan. Are there any within the spin-offs or the main series that you just straight up don't like, that it was just a swing and a miss where you're like, yep, that one has the name on it and I just can't stand by it?
To be honest, not really. I feel like there's some value in all of them. Even Swords, which I think is the weakest entry in the entire series, there's something cool about collecting these swords, and there's a story and everything. I actually still like that game a bit. There's really not a Dragon Quest game that I think is bad or that I don't like that much, to be honest.
Okay, cool.
I agree with you. I think Swords, of all the ones I've played, And I still haven't gotten around to the Monsters Joker series. That's on my list to do after I beat 11S again, and probably do the Switch ports of 1, 2, and 3. But I've played the others. I think Swords is probably my least favorite. I know BJ and I had a great time playing it together.
But if that had been solo, I don't think I would have been able to get through it.
Yeah. So did you play it alone, or did you play it with some friends?
I played it alone. Yeah, I mean, it's not fun. That's the kind of game you got to be playing with somebody and like joking around and kind of like having a good time playing with. It's not something you should be in a room alone playing yourself. So I feel like that does add more enjoyment to the game.
Yeah, swinging around in my living room, it was just, I was like, I hate everything about this, and I just can't do it. But with Austin, it was super fun. So
yeah.
So kind of not Dragon Quest, but I thought about this the other day actually. So you live in like the Northeast, right? Like around Philadelphia area, up that way somewhere. So I have some family that lives in Philadelphia, and recently we started getting these Wawas down here in South Florida.
Yeah,
and my Philadelphia family is like obsessed with them because they're down here in South Florida now, because I guess the owners like vacation down here or something, and so they started like building some. I mean, they think Wawa is like the best thing ever. So is that like a them thing, or is that like a Philly thing? Like,
I mean, there's one in the town I live in, so it might be a PA thing. People are really into it. They're into this Wawa. They're into this place called Sheets. I don't know if you heard of that.
No, I haven't heard of that.
It's similar to Wawa, and yeah, I don't know. I guess they like this whole driving out in the middle of the night and grabbing some random drink in some store. It's like a 7-Eleven. That's what Wawa really is, if I might.
Okay, yeah, that's okay, because that's what it was. That's what I like. It seems like to me, and like my wife has stopped by one and brought donuts home, and like the donuts were good, but like I know, like my cousin lives down in South Florida now, and she's originally from Philadelphia, and she got like super pumped when like a Wawa was in, and now that's like where she stops to get gas and everything all the time, and like, and a lot of my other relatives and stuff that are in like the Philly area, they're like, oh, you guys are getting a Wawa now, like you're so blessed to have a Wawa down there. So I was just wondering if it was like a them thing, or if like people like in like PA really love Wawas.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both.
Okay, yeah. So when it comes to Wawa, I guess you're kind of, it's fine.
Yeah.
Is your opinion on
basically,
it? Okay.
Yeah. I've been there a few times. It's not. I don't go crazy for it. I mean, they have these little drinks and coffees and stuff, but like that's about it.
this is so weird to me to think about, like people going crazy over a convenience store. Like that. Like I get things like Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme and these places that you go, but convenience stores, it seems odd to me, except for your wife, Austin, except for Grace, because she just loves gas station food. So that doesn't surprise me at all that she just goes in and is like, ooh, new gas station food. But it's like, just in general, I'm just like, really? I don't really have strong feelings for gas stations and convenience stores in either direction.
Yeah, and so for Sackchief and people listening who don't know, so my wife, she loves gas station food. Like I know in another episode, I talked about how Taco Bell was like my favorite. She loves gas station food, which makes us just sound super classy, doesn't it? So at her old job, when we lived in Tennessee, she would love to go get, there was a gas station nearby, and she would go get food from there. And her coworkers would always talk about how happy she was after she ate at the gas station, to the point that they had a term for it. They called it her gas station glow.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And so now, whenever, I mean, she does, when she eats gas station food, it's like the deep fried, like super greasy food that like makes most people sick. And she has an iron stomach, and she loves it. And, like, I don't know, with Wawa, she told me they had really good subs, I guess. But I haven't eaten at a Wawa myself. They're like all over the place. Because I live in South Florida, and right now we've got like about 5 of them, I guess, like around. And I guess it's because either the owner like moved down here to retire, which is what happens with a lot of people, because it's like a big retirement area in South Florida. So it's either that, or like they vacationed down here and wanted to like set some up. But anyway, going back to kind of Philly and stuff too, though. I noticed like yesterday, maybe you said something about Second and Charles. You do a lot of shopping at Second and Charles.
Yeah, it's a shop they have around this area.
I've heard of it before because I'm kind of I don't want to call myself a hoarder, but like I like going to like bargain places and finding like cool collectibles and stuff. And that place had been recommended to me before as thing if I was ever like up that way, that I should definitely check out the Second and Charles shops.
Right.
Because they have some cool stuff, I guess. And it's just like it's like kind of like a secondhand like collector store.
It's a secondhand collector store, but it's really like, okay, they have like records, they have DVDs, they have books, they have comics, they have anime DVDs, stuff. They have a lot of new stuff, but they have a lot of used stuff, and the used stuff is kind of where the treasure is, because they have, it's crazy. I go there, I see so much stuff I want that is cheap. It's like unbelievable. They're basically, first of all, the PS3 section has every rare PS3 game you could ever want just sitting there. They have an NES section with all these rare NES games in the box. They have Dragon Warrior. I would see multiple copies of Dragon Warrior 3 for the Game Boy sitting on their shelves just every other month. It's a little ridiculous how much they get good stuff, and it's not that expensive either.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they have a Nintendo right now in the original box for $100.
Yeah, that's
what
that was what I saw you post in the the chat or whatever, and I was like, man, and when you said it was Second and Charles, like it immediately clicked that store had been recommended to me before.
Right.
So going back to Dragon Quest here, because I guess that's why most people are probably listening. So gone over favorite games, least favorite game here. So let's talk about some characters for Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest, I think, has some very memorable characters. Whether you like them or not, they're still kind of memorable. Do you have like a just hands down favorite character from like any of the mainline games or otherwise? Just a favorite character?
Let me think. My favorite characters probably come from 11. My first favorite character is Veronica, and my second favorite character is Hendrik the Knight.
Yeah, I Hendrik is one of my favorites as well. I'm hoping we get a Bring Arts figure for him soon, because my goal is to collect all the Bring Arts figures for 11, and they're really expensive, so I have to get them like slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly and on sale.
Slowly and on sale, yeah. And so I'm hoping we get a Hendrik figure like
that'd
soon.
be great, yeah.
So I think my favorite characters are probably from 11 as well. I love Hendrik. I love Sylvando. He was my favorite on the first playthrough, just because, I really liked his humor, and I liked that he kind of had some depth. He was more than just like a caricature for them, and I really appreciated that and liked that about the character.
Yeah.
I really like Veronica, which is surprising because I do not like Maribel at all in Dragon Quest VII, and she's kind of playing that same kind of like archetype.
Yeah. I see that.
But she's so much more like likable, as opposed to her brattiness is kind of funny, as opposed to the bratty little sister who is trying to be obnoxious. It's like Veronica is. I think it's because she's really an adult. I think that because she's an adult doing it, that she knows what she's doing and is just coming across that way. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Veronica's probably one of my favorite characters as well. Just her and Sylvando, really, this time as I'm going through, I'm like, I just love you guys so much. Just like, I really want Bring Arts figures of them. I need to buy them.
Veronica and Sylvando are both in like the 2-pack, so you got to shell out even more money for them.
No.
Who does Sylvando come with? I forget.
So Sylvando and Rab come together with a liquid metal slime is the little monster you get with it.
I was thinking Rab and Jade should come together. Wouldn't that make more sense?
Yeah, it would. It would make a lot of sense. And honestly, I think they made Jade separate. I put some thought into this a little bit, and I wondered if they made Jade separate because of her being like a maybe more in-demand character. Okay. If maybe they did it to cash in, if it was like purely monetary, and maybe that's cynical of me to think that, but yeah, I'm right there with you. Jade and Rab would have made way more sense to be packaged together.
But I thought the same thing when y'all said that it was Rab and Sylvando. I'm like, oh yeah, they put Jade apart to make people buy more.
Yeah, or it could also be a size thing because Veronica's small, so they don't charge you full price for the 2 figures. Just like I don't think they charge you full price for Sylvando and Rab because Rab is a smaller figure.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe that's their
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah. Because I wouldn't spend the $90 on Veronica as much as I like the character.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I am. Is that like I love Veronica, but you feel kind of like shortchanged paying $90 for a Veronica that stands like half as tall.
Yeah.
Because she's short, you would get short-changed.
Uh,
Huh? Huh?
Yeah.
This is what I'm here for.
So
This is all I do.
So going back to characters and stuff, least favorite character, but really quickly, so Maribel, that's kind of like I feel like there's two kind of fans. There's fans who love Maribel, and there's fans who just absolutely hate her. Where do you stand on the Maribel?
I like
spectrum?
Maribel. I think she's okay. Yeah.
All right, cool. I mean, I'm just wondering. Here's the thing about Maribel is that I think she makes a really good like druid and sage and everything. I think her spell casting abilities in 7 are really good, and I used her pretty much throughout the entire game because she's a character that pretty much stays with you almost the whole time, right? There's just like one time that I can think of that she's kind of missing. You know, I used her. I think it's just her personality. You know, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it.
And I don't like her in the Heroes games more than I don't like her in 7. It's the voice. It's having the I don't even want to say shrill because it's not a good term, but it's having that really obnoxious voice. Having the voice acting really gets me. I think
it's the petulant child voice.
yeah, it is like it's petulant child as opposed to precocious child with Veronica. Like that's exactly it. Veronica's precocious and Maribel is petulant. You're right.
So do you have a least favorite character?
Oh yeah, of course I have a least favorite character. My least favorite character is the Prince of Canuck from Dragon Quest II. He's my least favorite character.
because of the dying.
There's a lot of reasons why he's kind of like a little dickhead. Like he causes so much trouble for you and your team, and he's like not even that. First of all, he's not that strong. Second of all, he gets sick right when you're about to go face off against Hargon. You have to go off on his huge quest to go find a leaf, and it takes forever to run around this world. It takes so long to get to that Yggdrasil tree, and just to bring him back.
Yes, the Inn and Baron. Yeah, I don't know if you listened to our episode on Dragon Quest II, but I seriously went on like a 10-minute rant about that whole like the Prince of Canuck getting sick at the Inn and Baron and having to like find the Yggdrasil leaf and all that. So I'm right there with you. That is a very obnoxious part of that game.
Yeah, and then there's the fact that the Prince of Canuck is considered to be a legendary hero. He can wield the sword of Erdrick. So, I mean, this guy's getting sick and he's like falling asleep and like dying on you and like letting you down so often, and he's considered worthy. I feel like that's kind of insulting a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because that's the thing at the end is that it's like he's not even. You have to get him an Yggdrasil leaf, but he's not even dead. I mean, you can talk to him, and he talks to you, and he just whines.
That's true. He could just go. He could suck it up and leave, but instead he's lying in bed the whole time, waiting for you and the defenseless girl to go around the world looking for a leaf for him. And you guys don't have any sort of magic like attack spells or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I've read since then, since I've only played and beaten 2 once, and I've read since then that if it's optional, you just don't stay at the Inn and Baron, and it doesn't happen to you. I assume you can still reach the Yggdrasil tree and like get Yggdrasil leaves even without doing the whole Baron.
Yeah, you can. I happen to have had one of my playthroughs. I had the Yggdrasil leaf already because I was saving it to just in case Hargon killed me or something. But I had to use it on this guy, and then I kind of had to go back and grab another one just in case, because you're only allowed to have one at a time.
Right. Which is one of those cool things. That I guess it's cool. I don't know. Some people might say it's too easy, but I think it's cool at least that you can hold more than one Yggdrasil leaf in some of the later games.
I'm very happy about that.
So, oh yeah, and so really quickly, we've got plenty more coming up with Sackchief in just a second. But we're probably about halfway through here. So let's go ahead really quickly and get through that segment we like to call Shameless Self-Promotion.
Shameless.
I actually like that one. That's not bad. Sackchief, what do you think?
Was that
okay? Cool. All right. So that was not bad. You kind of sounded like Meatwad from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
You want to take a meat bridge?
Yeah, that's exactly what you sound like. So So really quickly, by listener request, we are on SoundCloud now. So just wanted to take this time to say you can find us on soundcloud.com/DragonQuestFM. So if you want to listen to us on there now, you can. We're working on getting all of our podcasts up on YouTube as well. It's just Austin had some technical difficulties yesterday, so that's a whole thing for another day. It was just this whole thing. But and then also we just want to remind everybody about our Patreon, which I'll let BJ tell you guys about.
We've got patreon.com/DragonQuestFM. You can go there and you can get custom role on our Discord server. You can become Erdrick's long lost cousin, and you know that you would be better at that than the Prince of Canik. And we also have where you can tell us what you want us to talk about as a tier. If you sign up, you get a Dragon Quest FM sticker, which we know that you want. And I don't remember what other things we have because I have been out for a week and my brain is dead. So you can go to patreon.com/DragonQuestFM just like me and find out what we've got.
And we do have monthly mini-sodes that we're starting to post. We have a new one that maybe is live by the time this episode is out on Friday. We'll have to see because BJ was in Mexico all last week and is going through crazy stuff, and I have a bunch of sick kids, so I'm going through crazy stuff. But now, also during this segment, we like to showcase stuff from the community. So since we have Sackchief here with us, who is from the Dragon Quest community, Sackchief, you want to tell everybody some stuff you got going on?
Okay, so currently I'm running my YouTube channel with a 4 Let's Play series currently of the trilogy of Dragon Quest on the Switch, as well as DQ11S. I'm doing them every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, give or take. And I'm trying to do consistently. So my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Sackchief, SACKCHIEF. You want to check that out and see my future projects as well as reviews that I'm going to be working on. I also have a Twitter account that I post a lot of Dragon Quest content on, and it's getting some good reception. So that's twitter.com/Sackchief. Hope you follow me on there, and that's about it.
All right, awesome. Now back to the regular episode, I guess. So hearing you say this just made me wonder.
Yep.
So Sackchief, how did you get the name Sackchief, if you don't mind me asking? Because if it's a video game reference, I don't.
Okay. There's this video game called Little Big Planet that I really liked from like years ago, like 10 years ago or plus. And the main character is a Sack Boy, and I really like that game a lot. So I made this name just for going online and publishing levels and that kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because he's Sack Boy or Sack Kid, Sack Boy. Is that what you said? Yeah, I remember. I was a big Little Big Planet fan myself.
Yeah, it's fine, and that's about it, really. That's I made the name for that game, and it stuck. That's all.
So when I was like first obsessing over Dragon Quest, like really obsessing with it, like about a year ago, and had decided to play every mainline game, looked into Dragon Quest, found you and stuff, started talking to you on Twitter, watched your videos on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And I wondered, and at the time I was like, maybe, because I hadn't played all the Dragon Quest games yet. So I was like, maybe it's like some Dragon Quest thing. And then I played through all the Dragon Quest games, and I was like, there's definitely nothing about Sackchief in these Dragon Quest games. So then I was like, maybe he like played football in high school or college and like was really good at tackling people. And like they called him Sackchief, and it was like a football thing. And so I've always wondered. So now I have my answer. So thanks. It makes total sense now. Now that you say it, but I've always wondered about that. So let's kind of talk about the community here for a little while. Getting into that, like I said, when I was first. My first Dragon Quest game that I played and beat was actually Heroes back in 2016. And really loved Dragon Quest, but because I didn't have a DS and things like that at the time, I didn't get super into it. And then after 11 came out, I just kind of made the decision that I was gonna get into it and like play all these games and just spend the money that I had to spend to get to play them all. But for me, and I think probably for a lot of people who get into the Dragon Quest fandom for the first time, I feel like probably you and like Dragon's Den, the Dragon Quest fan site, are probably the first two places for a lot of people. I mean, those were probably the first two places for me. So I guess if you're trying to get people into Dragon Quest, do you have like an elevator pitch or anything that you try to like tell people like why Dragon Quest is so great, or try to persuade them to come over to our side?
All right. Yeah, I do. I have a elevator pitch. Dragon Quest it's the first Japanese role playing game ever. It's what set the entire foundation for what RPGs would become later on. 1986. This is when the game first came out. It's over 30 years old. Came out the same year as Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, Pokemon. All this stuff, it came from Dragon Quest. The foundation was the same. Every Japanese game developer has this respect and adoration for the creator of Dragon Quest, Yuji Horii. A lot of them entered the industry because of him. Hideo Kojima, the creator of Metal Gear, he cited Yuji Horii as his influence for becoming a game developer. And the thing about Dragon Quest is that it is a phenomenon in Japan for a very good reason. It is a very accessible game that adults and young people, people of all ages can enjoy. It's a game with it's a game that with a difficulty that requires thinking. The game design is so well thought out that you can get right into it. You immediately start playing. You go on this huge adventure across the entire world, getting stronger as you go along. It's a game that changed the way you look at gaming forever, and it's, in my opinion, the best RPG series that it just does it better than everything else. To be honest, everything about it is so finely tuned. The way you level up as you keep going along, the way like the story progresses, how you feel when you get stronger, how you kind of are weak at the beginning, but by the end of the game you're destroying enemies with different spells, different abilities. You have all these different party members. There's just so much to Dragon Quest that makes it so perfect. And then there's the fact that it has stories that people can relate to. All people can relate to. They're simple stories, but they're very deep when you look into it more. And it's a game series that teaches a lot of good morals, about character, about honor. There's just so much that's great about Dragon Quest. I could keep going on and on, but really, if you ask me, it is hands down the best RPG series ever. There's nothing comes close. Everything is trying to be Dragon Quest, essentially. Whenever somebody's making an RPG in Japan, they're looking at Dragon Quest, they're thinking, how can I beat this? That's what they're always thinking. That's what Final Fantasy's been thinking for years. It's the standard for RPGs, essentially.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, 100% right there. And I feel like, I rave about Dragon Quest a lot on this show. BJ does too. I mean, we're a Dragon Quest podcast, of course. We're gonna rave about it.
Kind of the thing. It's kind of our shtick.
So, but yeah, going back to what you said there about with Dragon Quest, and just it kind of lacks cynicism, like the morals and stuff that it has in it. That was one thing that I think I really appreciate about the game, is that, and one reason why I like to play it, because a lot of times I play it at night, like after my kids have gone to sleep and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the reasons, is that it's just it's nice, I guess, is like the word I want to use for it. Like,
yeah,
like even when the world might be ending, like there's like positivity and like kind of optimism happening in those games. And I think that's really what, after playing all the Dragon Quest games this year, it's made it really hard for me to play other video games right now, because when I've gone back to play other games that aren't Dragon Quest, I'm like, why you gotta be so negative?
Yeah.
when I'm playing them, and then I just kind of like yearn to play more Dragon Quest, which I think is kind of rare, especially nowadays, to have like video games that are so just kind of devoid of cynicism.
Yeah, especially mainline RPGs like this that are AAA, where like just releasing on the Switch, and there's not any kind, well, I don't want to say there's not any kind of darkness, because there's obviously darkness, but like you said, it's hopeful and more optimistic as opposed to the gloom and doom.
Have you played the Ni no Kuni games at all?
Yeah, I played the first Ni no Kuni game on PS3 because it was by level 5. I thought, hey, it's going to be like Dragon Quest 9 or something, because it was by the same developer. That's what brought me into Ni no Kuni, made me interested. the fact that it was made by the DQA developers. So yeah, I played
Did
it.
you like Ni no Kuni?
I like it. I mean, I hoped it would have been turn based. I was kind of expecting a turn based RPG, but it's fine for what it is. It's a good game, good presentation. I really like the graphical style. I think if a Dragon Quest game came out and it had the graphics like Ni no Kuni, that would be amazing. That's what I think.
It would be amazing. Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
that would
really
be
cool.
great.
That's the reason I asked, is because in my mind it's like Ni no Kuni is kind of the only other big game I can think of that kind of has Dragon Quest optimism. And I what's his name, Akira Hino from Level 5.
Yeah.
I assume because of his work with like 8 and 9, that's kind of what inspired Ni no Kuni and like Rogue Galaxy on PS2 and things like that. Especially, have you played Rogue Galaxy before?
I haven't played Rogue Galaxy, but
Rogue Galaxy is like the game they made right after Level 5 made right after Dragon Quest 8. Yeah, and it definitely feels like it. It's basically Dragon Quest 8 mixed with the Disney movie Treasure Planet. It's like they took
Yeah.
Treasure Planet and Dragon Quest 8 and made it into a video game. Like, it feels so much like, because I'd played Rogue Galaxy before Dragon Quest 8, and just the environments and everything. Like the whole time I was playing Dragon Quest 8, I was like, man, they just took this game and made it in space and called it Rogue Galaxy, because a lot of it feels very similar.
But it has a worse camera somehow. That was one of the things that made me bounce off of Rogue Galaxy, is that I liked pretty much everything else about it, but the camera being a pretty much a straight PS2 camera, even in the remaster, it was so hard for me to deal with that I just stopped.
But you can move the camera around, can't you?
You can, and that's kind of the problem, is that it's not very responsive. And so it's just, I hate PS2 camera controls when they were still learning how to make camera controls.
Gotcha. So in your elevator pitch a minute ago, you mentioned Yuji Horii. And I don't know if it's still there, but I know for a while on your Twitter account, your pinned tweet was with an autographed poster from Yuji Horii that you had framed. Still there? Okay,
still there.
cool.
Yeah.
You actually have 2 Yuji Horii autograph posters, which I'm very envious of. So you said, do you want to tell us a little bit about the posters, how you got them?
Okay, so I got them within a very short period of time from each other, actually. I got really lucky. So Yuji Horii came to Anime Expo last year, 2018. Square Enix brought him over to America to promote Dragon Quest XI. I was not in a position to be leaving my hometown to go to Anime Expo on a plane and stay the night there and all that stuff. So I was pretty bummed out. I thought, damn, I'm really gonna miss this. I'm not. People are gonna get Yuji Horii's autograph. I'm not gonna get it. So I went on Reddit and I looked around for some proxy service of somebody who might be willing to go there and get it for me. Right. I found this one guy who said he'll do it for $50, which is, I mean, that's a pretty decent price. He's just gonna give it to me for $50.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Some people were like trying to charge me $120 to do it. Like, and I was kind of like, oh, come on, it's a free autograph. It's not like you're paying to do anything. But you're waiting in line for like an hour, right? The guy delivered. For $50, I got that autograph. He gave me the ticket. It's it's like perfect. I got it framed and everything, and that was a good investment. I didn't get to meet Yuji Horii, unfortunately, but I got his autograph. It's a pretty decent thing. I know a lot of people on Twitter who managed to meet him, and they took pictures with him and everything, and it was nice. And I became friends with some people based on them meeting Yuji Horii and me talking to them about it, asking them how it was. So that's how I got the first autograph. And then about a month later, the Dragon Quest Twitter account was having this contest called hashtag DQ8 contest. It was supposed to celebrate Dragon Quest 8, I suppose. Basically, you're supposed to post like fan art or a picture of your collection or something that shows that you're a big DQ fan, and eight people around the entire world would win a poster signed by Yuji Horii, a Dragon Quest 8 poster with Yuji Horii's autograph and a slime sketch on it. And I posted a picture of my collection. I posted some fan art I made years ago, and I was one of the winners. That's basically how it happened. They sent me the poster, and I have the poster signed by Yuji Horii, 2 of them now, basically. But one of them, the Dragon Quest 8 one, though, I like more because I kind of earned it.
Right. That is really cool. BJ, do you have any questions? I feel like I kind of was hogging some of the questions there. You have anything you want to ask Sackchief while we've got him on today?
Well, I'm curious about how you feel about 11S versus the other versions, that they've added so much, and I've talked to Austin about some of the new stuff and experienced some of it myself. Like, how do you feel about the additions and the names and things like going from Yochi Village to Tickington?
Okay, so you mean like localization
Yeah,
changes and all
and
that?
then the additions, like the new side stories and things like that, if you've gotten to them yet.
I haven't gotten to the side stories yet because I'm still at the octopus boss fight.
Okay.
But I've heard about how they kind of just stick them in there. It's do we spoil DQ11 on this podcast or no?
We try to avoid spoilers as much as possible with 11S at least, because so many people were waiting to play 11 until 11S came out.
Right,
So
right.
we try to keep it kind of vague if we can. But
Okay, so yeah, the I guess the break, the side missions are kind of. Did you guys got to that part, right? They kind of just stick them in there, right?
yeah, I have. It got the placement of it. I thought was really weird. I thought the placement was odd. You know where the placement is, right?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
aware. I know.
It slowed down the story, and there's stuff I don't want to get into specifics, but there's stuff that I think really ruined surprises with Act Two, and like running around and stuff, and like there's some reveals and things that I feel like maybe it doesn't ruin it, but it like cheapens it. Even like really cheapens one of the reveals that happens at the very end of 11, like the real final boss, in the post game and everything.
Yeah.
Like the ending cutscenes at the very end that I'm talking about.
Right, right.
Anyway, it kind of like cheapens one of those reveals even.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So any drawbacks from 11S from 11 other than maybe the side stories there?
Okay, so the Switch version, I think, would probably be the definitive version, considering that it has a lot of improvements. But some things make it a little too easy, like having the fun size forge wherever you want.
Mm-hmm.
That does take away a little bit of a layer challenge because you can just build where the heck you want, and you can buy any materials you want right there without having to talk to the the shopkeeper
Yes.
to buy the materials. You notice
Yeah.
that, right? You don't need a.
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
I agree with you. I thought it was way too easy, and I even tested it out in like what passes for dungeons, in the game. When like I feel like other Dragon Quest games or other games would be like, you can't use that right now, and the fun size forage you can just use it, whenever. So I think that's one of those things. I really love the fun size forge as a mechanic, but I think being able to just buy it, and there are some items. I don't know if you've gotten to any of those yet, but there are some items later on in Act 1 that I know of where it's like you can't just buy them, and it will tell you have to find them.
Yeah, there are some
Okay.
that you can't buy. I know Warmaline is one of them, and there are a couple others that I've run across where you can't buy them at all, and it's just like, well, okay, I'll go search around for that again.
The spellbound bow is the one that really has been a pain in my butt because you need it for a lot of the magic gear.
Oh, okay.
And the place that it's at is can be kind of tricky. You just have to actually like stay the night at a campsite and like kind of farm it before things happen and you can't go back and farm it for a while. So just the placement of that gear along with the items that you have to get kind of make it to where you legitimately have to go and collect these items, kind of like you did in the original version, instead of just straight up buying them.
And I both like that you can buy the items straight from the forge, and I dislike it too because it does make it easier. It's like, oh, I need to make this cautery sword, so I'll just drop this much money right here without even having to get out and go over there or even look for it elsewhere. But it's also where it almost cheapens the items as you get them. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to just keep trying this until I get a +3 because I need perfectionist pearls anyway.
So any other drawbacks that you have experienced?
Let me think. So there's that. There's it's mostly just good stuff I've noticed so far. There's a lot of little quality of life improvements. Okay, so I like that the battles go faster and everything.
Yeah.
But one thing I don't like that's obvious is the fact that the graphics are not quite as good as the normal version.
Yeah, that's So that's kind of my um, that's kind of been my biggest issue with it, is that I think it still looks really good for Switch, but it looks good for Switch. I think like it's, you have to add that for Switch on there, um, and I don't know. Are you mostly playing docked or handheld?
Docked because I'm recording it.
Gotcha. Okay, so I feel like it looks worse handheld, and I've been mostly playing it
Right.
handheld. But I've seen some people online say that they felt it looked worse docked. Have you have you tried it out both ways? Like, do you think one is kind of worse than the other?
Yeah, I tried it out both ways, and I don't know. They look kind of similar, to be honest. When it's handheld, there's a little bit more aliasing. It's a little more fuzzy. You notice that at
Yeah,
all?
absolutely. That's my big thing on the handheld. I've been going back and forth, and I'm used to it now. But the fuzzy edges really do stand out on handheld, which I didn't expect nearly as much because of other games that they've done so well on handheld. And then I go dock it, and honestly, it may be because I haven't played the Steam version in so long, other than just to compare the music, that I don't really notice a big difference that way. But I'm also not really looking at graphics that often. Like, it's not something that really matters to me a great deal. So it's like, oh yeah, this is pretty now, and I can tell it's better than handheld.
Yeah. The only time it really bothered me like enough to where I was just like, oh my gosh, this uh, looks so bad was so I have used the photo mode in 11s more than any photo mode in other video games like combined ever. Like
Okay.
I've used photo mode so much, and part of that is because I really love toggles, and so just for fun, I take pictures for toggles, and then every so often like I post a batch of four of them, like Twitter or whatever. But I've taken pictures of toggles for fun because I like the way they look. I'm trying to get some cool poses with them. And there's one part especially, it's in the mango grove when there's just all this like underbrush and trees and just a lot happening, and you're with the hero and then the eighth party member that you get later in the game,
Hmm.
and they're the only two party members, so it's not even like you have a full party with you. And I was tinkering with the photo mode, and like their faces were so blurry, and like their eyes were messed up. It looked like I was playing a PS1 game.
Huh.
Like they had the jank eye. You know how like PS1 games they all have like jank eyes. You guys know what I'm
Yep.
talking about.
Yeah.
And so that was the only time that like that it's happened to where I was just like, oh my gosh, like this just looks horrendous. And it was only two party members, and it was in an environment where there were like some enemies and like a lot of like flowers and trees and things because there's the mango grove. And so I don't know if that, caused it or not, but that's just kind of the only time that it's just been really, really bad.
I haven't had any that's really bad yet. That I've had just a minor bit of slowdown when my entire party is on screen in handheld mode, but that's about the most drastic thing that I've had. Sylvando's mouth has been a little weird in movement for a while, like every once in a while, but it's nothing that I even really think about that much.
I gotcha. So overall, though, I agree with you. I think 11S is mostly improvements. Have you enjoyed the new stuff with the toggles and going to past worlds and all?
Oh, yeah, I think that's really cool stuff. Going past worlds and checking out all that stuff. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think my because we knew before this game came out that that was going to be in there, but I think for me, it was a nice surprise because I like how they interact. Like you get a quest in one world, and you might have to go into one of the other past worlds to like find that item.
Hmm.
I really like how they kind of like have connected all of this stuff together because I bought the 3DS version, but it's all in Japanese, and so even using that Google Translate app like BJ and I used to play it, then I've used since to play part of it. It makes chipping away at the game really hard, and you miss out on a lot of like the story points because
Yeah.
the Translate app is not perfect, and so it's been really cool uh, because I feel like a lot of that, for me at least, I totally got lost in translation um, with the toggles and all that. So it's been kind of cool to see. I'm really glad that they added that to 11S.
Yeah, me too. I still have a hard time with his name being Ickle instead of Karuchi, though. It's because you and I talked so much about him before that I'm like, Ickle? Who are they talking about?
It's Ickle, and then his grandpa is Stickle. But I think the funniest one is his uncle is Tickle. Like, because I know I made a joke to you before about Uncle Tickle.
Yep.
Uncle Tickle just sounds so bad.
I adopted that nickname. Like, you have to call me Uncle Tickle now. Like, I should change my my Twitter handle from Professor Beach to Uncle Tickle.
I'm pretty sure that would like get you blacklisted.
It might.
Like, I'm not gonna follow anyone named Uncle Tickle.
We just changed this to Dragon Quest FM with Uncle Tickle and Uncle Tickle's podcast time. It would be it would be the best.
But I like that. I like that they gave him a bow tie, though. You know, he has he's kind of tall and has a little bow tie. Uncle Tickle.
So, have you noticed anything with the fandom growing since then, since the release of 11S, that all of this kind of just dropped with the original trilogy and then 11 on the same day? And I know there was a lot of buildup for it, and us being already in there saw a lot of this lead up. But have you noticed a lot of new people coming into the fandom, like searching things out and seeking out the rest of the games, or just trying to get involved in any way?
Yeah, I have. So I made a video a couple months ago about for new people to the Dragon Quest series and how to get into it and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's almost at 100,000 views right now.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I knew there was going to be demand for something like this. Ever since the hero got into Smash Brothers, my popularity kind of skyrocketed. I'm like, it's going up really high. I've got a huge following at this point, and a lot of people are asking me, how do I get into Dragon Quest? Which game do I play? What is the series? What's the deal with the series? How do they tie together? Things like that. There's a lot of people. It's like a new generation for Dragon Quest fans in a way. It's pretty cool, and there's a lot of people who are into DQ all of a sudden. I remember last year, exactly a year ago when DQ11 came out, I was trying to be friends with every single person who was playing DQ11, and I kind of succeeded at it. I think I talked to literally every person who was talking on Twitter talking about DQ11 at the time. Every person who liked Dragon Quest I knew, and now that's not quite the case anymore, and it's a good thing, It's hard to keep track of everyone at this point. I'm meeting new people every day. New people are talking to me every single day,
Yeah, that's really fantastic. It's kind of like this series' time to shine, and I'm really glad that both Nintendo and Square Enix have taken the initiative to do this and really get it out here, especially during the kind of lull before Final Fantasy VII's remake comes out, where I think that's going to bring a lot of old gamers back, and with these games already out and established, I think we could probably grow more from that being released as well.
Yeah.
I know we're almost out of time for the episode today, but Sackchief, just want to say a big thank you for joining us on the show today. But then also, for going back in with the fandom and all, just thanks, for talking to everybody with Dragon Quest. That's how, I first talked to you, was because I was probably one of those people talking about Dragon Quest 11 a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thanks for all you do, promoting stuff and, spreading the Dragon Quest love out there.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so that's all the time we have for today. Remember, you can check out Sackchief's YouTube page at youtube.com/Sackchief. You can follow him on Twitter. His handle is @Sackchief, SACKCHIEF. And you can also talk to him on Discord as well. We're going to put links to all this stuff in our show notes. So if you don't know who Sackchief is already and you want to check out his stuff, be sure to click on those links. Check him out. Remember, you can also talk to us directly. Our Twitter handle is @DragonQuestFM. If you want to just talk to me, my Twitter handle is @Austin_King.
I'm on Twitter as @Professor Beej. You can also listen to me on the Geek to Geek podcast. It comes out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. And you can check out all of the other content on the Geek to Geek Media Network that we're a part of at geektogeekmedia.com.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.